That's exactly what he told me.
There he is.
You don't see the Sarah come back online.
It came on and then it went off.
Okay, let's do that.
Oh, KLTV says they have audio. KLTV. KLTV sound check. KLTV sound check.
Print off copies about it, hand deliver if necessary, but mail them out to these protesters. I don't know if we know any of their names.
I don't know who they are. And the thing is so I had Mike from Public Works, Gina, Andrea. I had them all send me all of our communication and how many times we've gone out there, what dates we went out there, and what our findings were. So I've got all of that. I don't have it for the Department of Ecology, but even the state's gone out there and hasn't found they're back on.
Yeah,
But they're what they're doing on Facebook. They're rallying all sorts of people and get people pissed off. Stuff like, come on, guys. We haven't found a single violation.
Yeah, I would think that they would ultimately.
Got it. Okay, thanks for the patience. A little trouble with Zoom this morning. We'll start with invocation with our friend over here, Mr. Collier.
Yes, thank you, Rick. Hey, Father God, we just thank you for being with us today and just empowering us through to fight all the battles we have before us, Lord. And we just ask that you help everybody that may have a wounded heart, Lord. Fix that wound, Lord, and help them to heal so they can live free again from that heartache, that heartbreak, Lord. And Lord, let's just empower everybody with your mighty armor of God, Lord. Please shod everybody's feet with your gospel of peace so we have peace around us all day, Lord. And give us your belt of truth, Lord, so we not only speak truth, but we can discern truth when we talk to others, Lord. And put on us your breastplate of righteousness, Lord, so we walk in your righteousness all day long, Lord. And Lord, I just ask for your helmet of salvation so we can protect our minds from spiritual wickedness in high places and offenses and bitterness and anger that may come at us, Lord. And Lord, give us the sword of your spirit, which is the word of God, that we may carry as an offense. And ultimately, Lord, give us your shield of faith to protect us from the fiery darts that we get thrown at us all day long from the evil one, Lord. And I just ask you, pray this blessing over everyone in this room, their families, their friends, and the United States of America, Lord. We thank you and we love you. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Want to rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd entertain the motion on the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of March 24th through 26th.
Any corrections, comments, or anything to them? See none. Call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, before I get into the consent agenda, we have a couple proclamations. I think I have the emergency support shelter here. Did you want to come up and, I don't have them to read. Okay. Why don't you just, if there's, you want to use that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you both have a mic then? First one I'm showing here is declaring Crime Victim Awareness Week in Cowlitz County, April 6th to 12th. Did you want to speak on that one at all?
I have a speech for both of them.
Okay, okay.
Do you want to read them first, or do you want me to do my speech first?
I don't have them to read. Can you print them for me? While she's printing them, why don't you go ahead on the first one, and I'll read it. How's that?
Okay, that works for me. Good morning. My name is Tasha, and I am a crime victims advocate with the Emergency Support Shelter. The Emergency Support Shelter was established in 1978 as Cowlitz County's first domestic violence assistance program. It has since expanded into several programs. We offer emergency shelter for survivors of domestic violence and their children, free and confidential domestic violence advocacy, legal advocacy, and support for victims of crime and sexual assault. Thank you for allowing us to be here in support of National Crime Victims' Rights Week and Sexual Assault Awareness Month. According to the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs, there is a crime committed against another individual every 4.7 minutes. There is a murder every 23 hours. There is a rape every 3.5 hours. Aggravated assault takes place every 27 minutes. There are violations of no contact orders every 27 minutes. That means in the 2 hours you all are in here, at least 4 individuals are likely to become victims of crime. In 2023 in Washington State, there were 46,185 men who were victims of crime and 63,656 women who were victims of crime. 17.5% of crimes committed in Washington State in 2023 were against children under the age of 18. The Emergency Support Shelter's Crime Victim Advocacy Program provides free and confidential services to all victims of crime in Cowlitz County. This program provides advocacy and support for victims of non-intimate partner violence, assault, fraud, ID theft, child abuse, elder abuse, human trafficking, harassment, and hate crimes. This program is also known as CVAP. This program was started out of a need to support victims of non-intimate partner crimes in Cowlitz County. This program provides safety planning, assistance with crime victim compensation, accompanying individuals to court, legal advocacy, general advocacy, support, and resources. Last year, this program served 250 individuals in Cowlitz County. Our Hope Project serves all victims and survivors of sexual assault. This program also is responsible for ensuring that any individual who goes into our local emergency room department reporting a sexual assault have the option to have one of our trained advocates there to sit with them and support them within 20 minutes. This project provides advocacy, support, legal navigation, outreach, and training to our community. It serves all ages. It also provides clothing to victims in the ER to change into. Last year, this program served more than 320 individuals in Cowlitz County. Thank you for your support of our work and for acknowledging Crime Victims' Rights Week and Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Together we act, united we change.
Okay, let me read these to you and what we do here is once all three commissioners have signed it and stuff, we'll get it over like we did the last time. This is on Crime Victims Awareness Week, whereas crime affects individuals, families, and communities in profound and varied ways, often leaving lasting physical, emotional, and social challenges. Whereas the concept of kinship underscores the connections that build bridges to support services and share strength among survivors, advocates, and communities. Whereas kinship is the foundation of victim advocacy, inspiring trauma-informed care that meets survivors where they are. Whereas through kinship, we build peer networks and community alliances that empower survivors, foster resilience, and offer pathways to healing. Whereas kinship reminds us of the strength that comes from connection, the importance of listening to every voice, and the power we have to create lasting change when we work together. Now, therefore, the Cowlitz County Commissioners proclaim the week of April 6th to 12th, 2025 as Crime Victims' Rights Week in Cowlitz County, Washington. This proclamation reaffirms our dedication to building connections, standing in kinship with survivors, and creating a future where healing and hope are within reach for everyone. And it will be signed by the commissioners and sent. Did you want to touch on the other, or have you touched on?
I've touched on both.
Okay. The other one we're doing for the center is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Whereas April marks Sexual Assault Awareness Month, the acronym SAAM, a time to bring attention to the widespread issue of sexual violence and empower communities to take action. This year's theme, Together We Act, United We Change, highlights the power of working together to create safer, more respectful environments for all. Whereas sexual abuse, assault, and harassment affect individuals of every background. To address this, we must promote education around consent, healthy communication, and bystander intervention. By equipping individuals and communities with these tools, we can help prevent violence before it starts and foster a culture of respect and care. Whereas central to this campaign is the importance of amplifying the voices of survivors, especially those most vulnerable in our communities. Their experience must be heard and acknowledged, and their stories should guide our efforts to combat sexual violence in all its forms. Whereas everyone in our communities deserves to live in safe and supportive environments where they are treated with respect. When our workplaces, schools, and communities work together to uphold safety and respect, we make progress in preventing sexual abuse, assault, and harassment. Whereas together we act, united we change. By standing in solidarity, we can build a future free from sexual violence and create a world where everyone is safe, valued, and respected. Now, therefore, the Cowlitz County Commissioners proclaim the month of April 2025 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Cowlitz County, Washington. Want to get a formal motion? I know we've approved these things, but just a formal motion to do it?
Can I do them both in one motion?
You sure can.
I move to approve both proclamations for the emergency support shelter.
Okay, any questions on that? Call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, ladies. We'll get these signed and get them over to you. Appreciate you coming by.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll run through. We got kind of a late start, and I do have a public hearing at 9:30 we have to be cognitive of. So we'll try and whip through as best we can through consent agenda. Agreements, contracts, bid awards, operation, maintenance, and development agreement with Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife that reestablishes cooperative management and maintenance of the Kerr Road public access area in Silver Lake, basically the boat launch area up in Silver Lake. Number 4, an agreement Amendment number 3 to professional services agreement with Engineering Solutions LLC for as-needed landfill gas engineering services to cover ongoing and upcoming work. The maximum amount will increase 100,000 to a total of 450. Every 5 years, we have a testing of our flares to determine the efficiency of them. Well, last time we tested them, they were about 99 point whatever. They're very, very efficient. We have to have that done every 5 years. It's come upon that cycle. That's about 75,000 of this 100,000. The Climate Commitment Act added a new test or a new deal they need to look at. We have to have a third-party verification of just the information that we have. The information we send, a third party has to verify. Am I correct on that, Sean? Okay. That's it. We have to do that on a yearly basis. It comes to us, this is brand new, and it comes to us through the Climate Commitment Act. And that's about 25,000 to comply with that. So that's what item 4 is. Item 5 is a personal service agreement with CFM Strategic Communications. CFM is our federal lobbying group. This is an extension of a current contract. There's no changes in cost. It's simply an extension. Board correspondence, executed contacts, agreements, resolution letters. Letter dated 3/25/2025 to Gary Huda, General Manager, Public Utility District Number 1, Cowlitz County, regarding Cowlitz PUD I-5 corridor electric distribution capacity upgrades. They're wanting to upgrade the line basically between Castle Rock and Space Age. That's pretty close, right? Yeah. And then we had vouchers in the amount of $2,633,425.49. That's consent. Any questions, comments, concerns on consent? Ron?
Good morning, Commissioners. Item number 3 on your agreement. Is this an agreement that you, the Cowlitz County Commissioners, sign? Why I'm asking is that the Fish and Wildlife are also supposed to be taking care of some areas in eastern Washington, which NADA really is what they do. So I'd like to see what kind of agreement you have here that I might use as an example in Grant County.
Sean, can you speak on that a little bit? You're probably more versed than I am on that.
Or I can just talk to someone afterwards. I don't.
Good morning, Sean Murray, Public Works. The agreement with Fish and Wildlife for the Kura boat launch is that we maintain the parking lot, picnic area, and stormwater infrastructure on the site on a monthly, weekly, yearly basis for certain items to keep it open to the public and for public use at that boat launch there.
You have some official agreement with the Fish and Wildlife?
Correct. That's what this agreement would be for, is for that ongoing maintenance for the next 10
Okay,
years.
so I can talk to you and get a copy of that or whatever. Okay, very good. Second item on the professional engineering services for the landfill
Yeah.
is that you talked about a few of those. I have some experience up there. So part of that, I think, is you're going on out to all the little vents that are out in the landfill, measuring the gas and making sure that you're monitoring each well site accordingly so that you get the methane gas and don't get a lot of other in there. Now, is that part of this agreement or is that something separate?
So it's gonna be a little bit separate on this agreement. We do that in-house with our staff.
Oh, you do that part?
This part is just gonna be the verification of the flares and then our third-party verification of our gas reporting.
Well, that sounds like not much for $450,000 from my experience.
Sorry, I should clarify. The $100,000 additional is just to cover the flare verification and our third-party validation on our gas reporting.
Okay,
This
And
is
that-
what we're paying to outside people. The other issue, we handle in-house. We don't contract with somebody else.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
right. So let me push back again on this professional services. You're already paying someone for professional services. They're supposed to be licensed and bonded and everything else. And now our state, it's requiring us to go in and get a third-party verification.
Yes.
That's kind of like the county reviewing building permits for a licensed building permit. It's the same venue. I'm just giving you a
Yeah.
comparison to push back a little bit.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you, Ron. Nobody here likes it. It came
Well,
as
it's
part of that.
overkill,
Yeah.
significant overkill.
Yeah.
And then on item number 5, your tailored federal, what one, you didn't put a price on that for what it's costing us as county, and then lobbying, and then tailored lobbying is a very interesting
Yeah.
additive.
They sit down with us once a year, and I don't know if my colleagues have had a chance, they probably had a chance to visit with David, but I don't think you've had a chance to, we as a group will decide, we'll come up with what is important to Cowlitz County, and they tailor their efforts back there specific to that, like the Cowlitz and the silt and the stuff running down and erosion is a big thing to us, and that's been on there quite a bit. Last year or the year before, we asked them to help us try and get some funds for Riderwood to fix their water system. So it really depends on, it starts with us, is they'll sit with us and say, what do you guys see the need in the county? And then they show us how they're going to work those issues. And when we go back, I'll go back in May, they get us set up with the right people. Like I'll be with the Army Corps, I'll be with different folks and chatting. So that's, when you say tailored, I think that's what they're kind of talking about.
Okay, so, and then I hope that since you're getting tailored services, they also give you a report where our 2 senators and our representatives stand, and hopefully supporting that effort also.
Yeah, they're pretty good about giving us, I don't know if it's a monthly or, I think it's
We get
pretty much a
emails, yeah,
monthly
pretty frequently.
report on what's going on back there and how things are going. Okay, thank you, Sean. Any other questions on consent? Hearing none, I'd call for a motion.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to approve consent agenda as presented. Last opportunity. Seeing no hands, we'll call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, just a tad behind, but Tracy, we want to head into the public hearing.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tracy Jackson, Building and Planning. With me today, I have Adam Trimble, Planning Manager for our department. And we're here to discuss the proposed amendments to the short plat ordinance in front of you today.
All right, on your agenda, we have a public hearing on this proposal. It is comes to you from the Planning Commission, who held a public hearing regarding proposed amendments to the short subdivision ordinance. The Planning Commission, after holding the hearing, did vote unanimously to recommend the adoption of these amendments. The proposal here is to shift approval of private roads and driveways within short subdivisions from the Public Works Engineering Department, aka the county engineer, to the Building and Planning Department Director. This is going to address a part of a problem or an issue that we've received a lot of feedback on. It's a part of the fix. It will take kind of these smaller developments where maybe a family is adding a lot or a development of up to 4 potential properties and is required to build a private road. They will now be able to go through the building and planning department and construct a fire apparatus road, which is a road that's capable of handling emergency vehicles. This is intended to introduce some flexibility into the road review and approval process, as they'll be held to a fire code standard. And it also should reduce the complexities and the costs in processing private roads and keeping them kind of in one department, so to speak. So there are a few exceptions for these small developments, these 1 to 4 lot developments. One is if the public road is created, then it would still be reviewed through the Public Works Department. And another is if you've got a private road that is intersecting or crossing a public road, then the county engineer would be involved in that connection or that approach. So there is not a complete shift to the building and planning department, but for those scenarios where maybe a family has 2 properties and they want to add a third and back, and they've already got kind of a shared driveway that's working for them, instead of being faced with an upgrade to a type C private road to serve those 3 properties, the family could apply through the building and planning department for a type D road. And that would be, like I described, a fire apparatus road capable of handling emergency vehicles. And that will potentially save them some costs and some time in their development proposal. And so we've had a few examples where this exact scenario played out, and they were faced with the cost of building a road that was going to be probably more valuable than the lot they're going to create. So the scenario may have like withered and been withdrawn when they're faced with those costs. And these amendments should address that scenario. So today you have the staff report, you have the record of the public hearing from the Planning Commission, and you have the option to hold your own public hearing. That's what we've advertised. And the recommendation is to adopt.
Adam, do you want to touch a little bit on, because I know some people spoke on at the Planning Commission, and just touch a little bit on what they spoke about?
Yeah, certainly.
Everybody's aware. So
The department, Building and Planning, has been working with the Building and Planning Advisory Committee for a number of meetings, up to, I think we've had 9 meetings with BPAC on this topic of private roads. And so those are stakeholders who've been giving us a lot of feedback about our development regulations and our processes here at the county. And private roads has been a very big focus of that. And so what we heard at the Planning Commission was several commenters talking about, this is a small part of the issue that they've been raising with us. It's not the fix that they entirely want. I think there's acceptance that this does address part of what we've heard feedback about with costs and complexity and time of review. But it's not the complete fix that we've been hearing and requested from BPAC. So it doesn't do everything that they've asked for, but this is a piece of that.
Yeah, and as I stated yesterday, part of the concern was that we would, they were concerned that we just say this is good and we'd stop working on the other, and that's, I just want to say it right here, that's totally not going to happen. We are committed to working forward on that. So I just wanted to make that clear. I think the example I used yesterday on one of the fixes that this will do is, we had 2 sisters that bought 5 acres. I could be wrong. 5 acres, split it to 2.5, I believe. And it recreated another road, and the bids, they got several bids. In fact, they went out twice because we couldn't believe the first set of bids actually ourselves. And several bids have been $80,000 plus to do this. And so this is one of the areas we're trying to correct on these smaller developments. And I had heard a contractor that works with these families, these single families and these type of things, made the comment this should fix like 75% of the problems they have there. So while it's a step down the road, and I think it's a good step down the road, there's still more to go, but I think this is a good first step. To go any farther, we're going to have to start diving into code and get more technical. This can be done and taken care of, and I think it's a good good avenue.
Well
And I
put.
appreciate you guys' work on it.
Bet.
Any questions from us? Any?
No, I would just like to say I applaud your efforts in simplifying and making things more economically viable for citizens, particularly in situations like this. It's good to see.
It is a public meeting, so we'll open it up and the public is welcome to comment.
I appreciate the, the planning that you're going in through. However, well, I have two roads, one on either side of our property. One has at least, I believe, 7 residents off of them. And some of the people are conservative, I'll just say, in their money. And I'm thinking that they're probably not wanting to have somebody tell them how to fix the road. So is this going to be a mandated, if you have so many, you have to have the road improved per the building and planning?
No. Private roads, that's up to the owners that put the road in to fix.
Okay, so,
We don't send our road crews out to fix those.
well, no, I know you wouldn't be fixing them, but as far as having them up to a certain standard, that,
Are they existing? Or
yes, they're
more-
existing now.
It's
So
only if
we-
somebody's developing and doing a short plat. This
Oh,
would
okay.
apply, nothing
Real good.
else.
Real good, because I would think I have 2 neighbors that live up on the hill that they would just they would come totally unglued.
Yep, this is only for new development and this would be only for up to 4 lots.
Oh, okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good morning. Rick, in your example, you mentioned, I think, $80,000. What, with the, whatever you guys are doing, what did the $80,000 turn into? Is it at $20,000 now versus 80, or what was
You
the
remember
dollar
where we-
difference, and what were the difference in the qualifications for the road?
You know where we ended on that?
I don't know what they ended up paying. I have no idea, but that was them paving they asked for it to be paved up into the houses, to the house entrances. This is for a gravel road.
Okay.
Only paved at the apron where it touches county road. Everything else can be gravel. The width is less, as long as emergency vehicles can get through there.
Yeah, okay, so it comes down to what do I say, the specifications for the road itself.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Massey. I also sit on BPAC. I originally came out as con on this, but I am now changing my mind to for it because of the Commissioner Dahl's what you said in the last meeting that we're going to do more on it. And there's a commendation here too for your staff over here, especially Tracy Jackson. I don't know if you guys know what a diamond in the rough you have for her. She has worked very diligently to bring us together to get stuff done, and she's the right one for this job to get it done. So but sometimes I go up against her. I don't like being in that position, but that's just my part of what we're doing. But at the same time, it's a fair, they treat it fair. So, and again, it's not only about cost on this, it's also about the time to get what we need done. There is cost in delaying things, especially with interest rates that come up with building roads and stuff. If you're delayed a certain amount of time, the time on money is going to affect you greatly. So the less time we do this is the better. And she also insinuated about the executive order that Governor Ferguson put on about getting things, but there's 2 parts of that. The first one is to streamline this process. I think that would qualify for this. And also the timeline, Governor Ferguson also said you would give our fees back if it's not done in the time frame that's done. And she's cognizant of that. So I think if everybody has that in front of them, this is going to work very well. And I am looking forward to working on the public roads as we work forward on this. So again, I'm for this bill, and good job, Tracy.
Any other public comments? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. And I think the item after that, we take up the motion item with, okay, so we'll do that. Yeah. That's this one. And we should have a motion to approve this and then, okay.
I move to approve motion item number 8 for Public Works.
No, we're just approving the hearing, the short plat ordinance.
Okay, let me back up then. Move approval of the short plat division ordinance,
Okay.
subdivision ordinance. I'll get it right in a minute.
We've already had public comments, so we can go straight to the vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Perfect. Thank you, too. Thank you. Public Works. And these are kind of in kinship, so that's.
So good morning, Susan Eugenius, County Engineer. The motion item that you have in front of you is an amendment and a supplement to the private road section of the road and street design. It is the follow-up from the change of the short plat ordinance to address the addition of a type D private road, which will handle up to 4 lots as the fire access road as discussed by Building and Planning in the public hearing. And it also updates the definition of a type C road to exclude those. At this time, those are the only changes being made to this supplement, just to keep us in line with the short plat.
Questions on that? Seems pretty straightforward.
Try it again.
Yeah.
Move to approve motion item number 8 for Public Works.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item 8. Any other comments, questions on that? Okay, see none, we'll call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Let's see. I told you, Mike, I told you a cost. Susan updated me on that. It's more close to 2 million. You were a closer estimate than I was. We're talking about yeah, road fish hatchery. Okay. It's your meeting from here on out. Well, it's always your meeting, but you're welcome to speak on anything. We do have coming up on Wednesday, tomorrow, at 2:30. We will look at the applications. Let me make sure I'm right. For rural public facilities applications, they were sent out for, and we'll see the applications for the first time tomorrow. And those are the funds. I'll remind again, we're considered a rural area, so we get a rebate of taxes that are already paid to the state. They send back and we can use for grants to these rural facilities funds. And basically what they like to see you use them for is infrastructure. We've extended the water pipeline in Castle Rock. We've done other things. I think in the city of Kalama, we worked in their water system. We did the port of Kalama, extending rail or different things. It's infrastructure type things that would support hopefully incoming business. So we'll see those initial applications tomorrow at 2:30 if you have an interest. Go ahead, Nick.
Nick Massey back here again. Commissioner, Senate Bill 5798. It raises eliminate the current 1% cap on property taxes increase, and it's going to be tied to inflation and potentially raising taxes by 8% to 9% annually. If that happens, does Cowlitz County have to adopt that?
Haven't seen the current version. I know when it was introduced that it was because not every county was on board with this, that it was presented as a voluntary and opt-in. And things change as it works through there, and I haven't looked at the most current one, but I'm hoping it's still an opt-in because the kind of numbers you're talking makes me gag.
Yeah, well, yeah, and 44,000 people showed up on that bill yesterday. So it was and of those, I think that 97% of them were against it. And then we had some people that were there, and then we had the rest, little people that were just signing in to be there, and the rest of them were cons. So a lot of people against this one. And I'm going to stand in the fact that too. This for affordable housing and for people that living in housing right now, if they got a 9% increase on their property taxes, how many people are going to be pushed out of their house because of that? It's a horrible tax.
It could be devastating to a lot of people. And I hope they pay attention.
I do too.
Yeah.
But we can do our part here too if we say it's a voluntary thing. And I'm not saying that we don't got to take care of our things, but this is just an unfair tax on everybody to do it. There's other ways we could do the same thing.
Thank you. It is interesting how the state talks about affordable housing being a priority, yet their actions do not reflect that at all.
Yeah.
I saw the numbers on that. I know that of those 44,000, over 40,000 of them were con, and justifiably so. The people voted to limit, property taxes for a reason. We don't have the deep pockets, obviously, to create affordable housing. It just, the way things are, there's just no way with all of the different taxes, fees, permits, the time frame involved, interest rates at the bank. I mean, you can make that list about 1.5 miles long of all the things that are preventing affordable housing.
Mr. Kaiser.
This is a wide open time.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the record, I'm Mike Kaiser and reside at 615 Monahan Road, Castle Rock, Washington. And here I thought I was going to get through this without saying anything, but your previous speaker had mentioned about an unfair tax. I went to the Cowlitz Fire and Rescue Board meeting last Thursday at 4, and I went to the Port of Woodland Dog and Pony Show, or whatever they wanted to call that thing, at 5 o'clock last Thursday also. First off, I want to thank you guys for the position you're taking on the TIF for the Port of Woodland project. And like I've told people at the thing down there, what the Port of Woodland is trying to do is perfectly legal. But legal has very little to do with what's right and wrong.
Right.
And all they're doing there, I don't know how many you remember when James Meisner was a commissioner here, sitting in that chair.
Yeah.
Between 2010 to 2014, he had an idea to go after junior districts. And of course, I took it upon myself to call him a grave robber because my dad was a cemetery commissioner at the time. And he said, "What is this all about?" And we talked about it a bit. But I mean, all the Port of Woodland's doing, they're copying what the Port of Ridgefield and the city of Ridgefield did because they seen somebody close by pulled this off and they can do it. They're not making the pie any bigger. They're taking a piece of your slice and your slice and your slice to make their slice bigger. And from a public policy aspect, it's the worst thing I think I've ever seen in my life. It's absolutely terrible. Then you go, "Well, it's not raising taxes." No, you're just taking them from somebody else who doesn't have the ability to raise them anymore because you've capped them out and they can't go. So like I said, I want to thank you guys for the position you've taken. And when I was sitting in the back fumbling with my phone instead of paying attention when we were doing this, I was trying to look up because I asked Chief Knorr at the Clark Fire and Rescue meeting, what bill started this whole thing going? Well, he told me either 1148 or 1198 in 2021. Well, that's wrong because I looked it up and I'm not good at looking up stuff. And 1148 was something about housing costs for nursing homes, and the 1198 was something about aviation safety. Well, in order to stop this thing, because it's gonna get bigger as it moves along, Woodland's
Yeah.
seen what Ridgefield did. And there's a couple other spots in the state it's gone through. And somebody else will see that and it's just gonna keep growing. Somebody wants to take somebody else's money because it's free and easy. Well, unless you go back to where this thing started, which I intend to do, and find out who the sponsors were and why they sponsored them, and who the people were pushing the legislators that did sponsor this to sponsor this, what their motive was to start with, because I'll just summarize this. This is the worst piece of public policy I think I've ever seen in my life. And I appreciate what you guys have done in your efforts. It's not much, but it's the best you can do. Thank you very much.
Mike, if you want to hang around, I actually have a copy of the bill from 2021. I can get you one. Yeah, we've been very public about fighting this, and this Commissioner Farrell was down there in one of those meetings, and what'd you say? Each district could have 2 TIFs?
Each district, yeah, can have 2 TIFs. So in this county, you got 5 cities, 3 ports. We could have 16 TIFs landing in this county if they all adopted that. And yeah,
It could just, it's, and exactly as Mr. Kaiser said, they tout it as not a new tax, but it's taking from somebody else, and the fire districts and everybody else, you're gonna have to make that up some way. It is bad legislation for sure. Anything else?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the fact that they have, President Trump's made an executive order about citizenship to vote. And so I'm wondering, because this seems to, this would be good news for us, right? Except for our state, if they're not going to go along with that, are we going to do that as a county? And even what would it look like? Would you have to re-register everybody in the county to prove you're a citizen to vote? Which wouldn't hurt my feelings. I'd be more than happy to go over there right now and sign up myself this minute, but I think it's a good thing. But how are we going to implement that? I was wondering if Carolyn might be on there somewhere.
I discussed a little bit of this yesterday afternoon with the auditor, and there's some real serious conflict with the red and blue auditors, the different counties. The liberal leaning auditors are very upset that Trump did that, and there's unknown how's it going to land and affect this state. So they're all waiting to see how that's going to shake out. But at least from our perspective, we're all in favor of that type of action to take place.
The sooner the better. The other thing I noticed from yesterday and this is another thing that's coming through the state, is that they'll be able to have illegal aliens in law enforcement positions. I forget what they called that. I was watching the meeting.
They're not illegal aliens. They're just non-citizens.
Non-citizens. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, non-citizens.
Yeah. So I don't know how I'm going to feel when some non-citizen gives me a ticket for something. And are we going along with that too? I didn't get that out of.
I asked the sheriff about that a little bit yesterday. And it sounds like it's kind of driven from Eastern Washington because they're having trouble finding people. I share concerns with it, Tim, because I don't know how you vet people from other countries. What's the vetting process? What I've seen doesn't seem to be very good.
How do you swear in somebody who has not taken an oath to the Constitution?
Yeah, it's troubling to me, and I get the fact that you're trying to find employees, but I don't think you just give up and say, okay, non-citizens can be, because you got, let's go worst case scenario. You go back to 2000, go back to 9/11. Those people come in, we trained them to fly jets.
Yeah.
And nobody vetted anything, and then they run them into a deal. And I'm not saying they're all like that, but there is a a hardcore group that will try to do those type of things.
Yeah, and it only takes a few.
And I don't think you want to open that door. My past experience also is, okay, we want to try this. It's a very narrow window. They have to do all these things just right to get there. Well, as you go through 2 or 3 sessions of Congress, it starts going like this.
Yeah.
It starts going like this, and then pretty soon you don't know what's coming through. So I typically do not like opening that type of door. I just say, I get it. We're having trouble finding people, but I don't think you want to head down. And that's just, we haven't even talked about it really. So I don't know exactly where they stand, but that's just kind of my thoughts on it.
When you talk about 9/11, I mean, and you look at just in the last 4 years, roughly 11 or 12 million people came into this country unvetted. And it only takes even a fraction of 1/10% of bad guys in 10 million people. And you got a hell of a lot of a problem when they get together and start plotting. So, yeah.
And
I worry about that. Yeah.
it's a slippery slope because, you take people who have gone through the process to do things correctly. And if you're going to reward, and I consider it a reward to say, hey, you're a non-citizen, we're gonna allow you to do this. Where's the incentive to do it right? Where's the incentive to get people to come in and follow our laws, follow the process that we've had in place in order to receive the benefits and the rights of being a citizen? Anymore, being a citizen of the United States of America doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It really is. It's been degrading for quite some time now. And so I have to say, I agree. And where do you draw the line at that? If an illegal alien has the same benefits and the same rights as a citizen does, tell me
Or
what
more.
the benefit is. to
Or
being a
more.
citizen. Or more. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I
right.
this morning, correct me, Mr. Chair, but I read through that email that the Wasatch has a litigation in the hearing that they're having this morning on, isn't it that if the state mandates something that is not?
That's been a lawsuit that's been going quite a while, and I'd have to go back and try to remember how it was before my time that it actually started.
Okay. But I know there are efforts afoot to where the counties can tell the state, we're not doing this, and it's being litigated. There's hearing this morning on it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the question I have in general is a lot of this stuff that that Trump is doing, God bless him, you know what I mean? But it's like our state is obviously, and they've said it themselves, we're going to stand up to all this. But where do we come down as a county? I mean, it's like if the voter thing is a thing, are we going to do it or are we going to go with our state? Are they going to tell us what to do about it?
Well, I'm not speaking for my colleagues, but I would follow the state's example and say, we're not going along with this.
Yeah.
If the state's going to do it to the federal government, why would the county not follow the state's example to say, we're not going along with what you're shoving down our throat either?
Yeah, well, I agree with that. I'm just, it seems like we're coming up on a lot of very decisive things that you guys are gonna have to be making decisions on, and I think I know where you're at on this stuff, but
I suspect that's very true.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for the job.
When you're talking about sheriffs, here's the other thing. They're and I don't know where it's sitting in the legislature. Hopefully it's died, but trying to make sheriffs an appointed position.
Yeah.
That concerns me a lot. I don't think the sheriff was designed as kind of a watchdog over a lot of things. They have, if they use it right, they have the ability to watch over a lot of rogue activity. And when you make it a political position by appointment, whoever's in power appoints who they want to do what they want.
Sure.
That bothers me too.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, look at our Supreme Court or overall our whole, that's all Inslee appointees, and you go up and look at those guys and it's like, holy cow, man. I mean,
look at the decisions that have come out of them.
I know, it's crazy.
All be scared, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a list of state agencies with appointed directors that we could go down and say, this is garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Give me 3 months up there, I'd have them all gone.
yeah, exactly. No
Give
kidding.
me 3 days.
Mike, I would probably point you there and say, go have fun, buddy. Anything else?
Commissioners, just as a general comment, we, the citizens of Cowlitz County elected you to represent us, the citizens of Cowlitz County, not the state, not the Puget Sound. So we are here to support you in any efforts you have to do in representing the status of us, the citizens of Cowlitz County, as good conservative leaders, et cetera. And it also has to do with the status of sanctuary. So,
Amen.
I want to make a comment or two about the sheriff. You're absolutely right. The sheriff is the only one in law enforcement directly elected by the people. So that position holds a special obligation to the people and to stand up against anything that comes down through the appointed people that's against the Constitution. And that's the importance of having a constitutional sheriff in this county. And that's something we need to continue to work toward. And that's what the Rob Gibbs campaign was all about a couple of years ago, a constitutional sheriff.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah.
I just want to add one thing real quick.
Yeah.
I sit on the Fish Recovery Board, and Representative Orcutt is now sitting on that board also. So there's a lot of boards that we have that we're getting more and more conservative-minded people sitting on these boards to start making some of these decisions, which is, it's a step in the right direction. So I thought I'd mention that having Representative Orcutt on there along with the other people that are on that particular board, we're going to start to see decisions that are to the benefit of the citizens.
Yeah. And you might see us at more things. I think port districts have been added to our calendars. We might just show up more often so we don't get blindsided by some of this stuff that happens.
You know, unfortunately, as much as I think that the boards and the committees and the workshops that we do, and we're getting more conservative decisions, the state,
yeah,
it keeps wanting to take more and more power and decision-making authority away from even our level and say that we don't get to decide. Just like the sheriff, they want to have an appointed sheriff. They want to take that away from the people. And they want to move more and more stuff up the line, saying that they are the ultimate authority to make decisions. And I've always believed, I can't remember, somebody said it years ago at work, that the first sign of a dying organization is when you're trying to write a rule for everything. And it seems like the state is trying to write a rule for everything and make sure that the people don't get to decide. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you, Steve. I just wanted to add a little bit on this election thing, because I mean, election rules regarding it are pretty messed up. And I'll just give you this from a historical perspective right here. Cowlitz County went to vote by mail in 2004. The only reason I can remember that, I was an adamant poll voter because my grandmother worked the polls for 1,000,000 years. And I wanted to sign up early to vote for Dino Rossi because I was his county coordinator in 2004. And the city auditor at the time, when this was coming before the commissioners here, asked me if I'd come up and testify. If you don't know, you should know that most letters, the editors and testimony, somebody puts you up there to, run their point of view. So I asked, Chris, I said, what do you want me to say? And she goes, say whatever you want. So that was pretty big of her. And what I said at the time, and I spoke in favor of going to vote by mail. You can't run 2 elections on the same day. You got vote at the poll and vote in the mail. You're spreading yourself too thin. Even though I liked the poll, I figured there's no way you could put the genie back in the bottle. But like I said, Cowlitz County went to vote by mail long before the state did. And I can remember being at rallies up in Olympia with Linda Matson. Some of you might recognize that name. Most people probably don't. And Bob Williams I'm standing between the two of them. Bob Williams is having a fit about vote by mail because it's against the law in the state of Washington to vote by mail. Go read the Constitution and read the RCW, chapter 29 and chapter 29A. And like Linda said, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. That is not going to happen. So how we get to where we should be, I don't know, but not having voter ID is the most ridiculous thing that ever happened in this country.
Yeah.
And you don't have it, just like not having a border. If you don't have a border, you don't have a country. You don't have ID to see who's voting. Like they said at the time, remember the orange stickers that were coming out of Iraq at that time to vote? The people in that country, they had to have an orange mark after they went through the poll. We don't have anything like that here. This is worse than the Wild West. But you can have lots of different things in the county and in the state. They don't all have to be the same because they weren't back then until the state went to all vote by mail. You can track the history down on the timeline and see how it worked, but you don't have to be there all on the same day. There are ways to change that. And like I said, we were vote by mail before the state was in Cowlitz County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for the history lesson.
Anything else? Okay, as always, thanks for participating in your government. We appreciate your time. We are adjourned. Michael, we'll make a copy of that for you.